Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and today we're going to be looking at how to complete the histogram challenges that you're going to have in the slides and how to build your histograms themselves and apply your understanding of the vocab in a new way. So before we get into these challenges, there's a few things we need to understand. Number one, there is no really one specific answer to how to complete these challenges. There are many answers. That being said, there are right and wrong ways to complete these graphs. So you're really going to have to focus on understanding the vocabulary and then completing the challenges. So the vocabulary we're really focusing on is, do you understand the differences between variation and distribution and how we talk about variation and distribution with a histogram? Before these challenges, we've been looking at histograms related to australopes and the two other organisms in our simulator. And hopefully those histograms were easy because they talk about specific traits related to the australopes. So neck length or amount of armor or so on and so forth. These challenges aren't going to have a specific population that we're looking at. What they're going to be focusing on is, can you create a histogram about some imaginary population that focuses on a specific question about variation and distribution? Now, understand, the way we're going to be doing this is by utilizing these blocks down here to create a histogram. So imagine these set of blocks is kind of like your graph paper. And you're going to be given a specific challenge about the variation and distribution of a histogram. You'll see that highlighted in yellow on the actual slides. So for example, if we're looking at the very first one, it says create a histogram that has no variation. Notice this question or this challenge here really says nothing about a population, its traits. All it says is that we have to have a histogram that has no variation in it. If you're looking at this and you're like, I really don't know how to do this. Well, take the vocabulary word here, variation, and just take the definition and stick it in where you have the word variation. So you need to create a graph on your little graph paper here that has no differences in traits between organisms. So think to yourself, no differences in traits between organisms. How would I create that? Again, you're going to drag and drop different blocks into your histogram, if this is the bottom of your graph, to create that. So maybe this first block represents an organism. This second block represents a second organism. And again, you're going to create that histogram by dragging and dropping different blocks into your histogram. Now, when you're done, you'll use all of your blocks. So that's the goal, to try to use all of your blocks, but to create a histogram that shows exactly what that challenge, that highlighted yellow section, says to do. So when you're done, you'll have your little graph here, and you'll want to ask yourself, okay, does this histogram show what the challenge is asking of me? So I might go back and say, okay, create a histogram with no variation. Does this graph show, or this histogram show, no differences in traits between organisms? If you're looking at it and you're like, oh, I don't know, think back to those graphs about the australopes. Normally our australopes would show like the amount of fur or the amount of armor. So pretend this is a trait. Does this show no differences in maybe armor between our australopes? Or does this show no difference between speed in our australopes? If the answer is yes, you're ready to move on. If the answer is no, you need to tweak your graph. So that's how we kind of use our vocab, our blocks, and kind of our understanding of our previous histogram stuff to complete these challenges. If you have questions, reach out to me. If you want to do one with me, call me in. Let's figure it out together. Otherwise, good luck.